Great stuff with Kev. But it's such a great event that you think, you can have opinions and discussions about it all day and tomorrow. John, is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we wrap the Breeders' Cup discussion?
Yeah, Joe, I definitely wanted to know your insight on, are there any stone cold favorites that you're betting against, whether it's Cogburn or Torpedo Anna or City of Troy? He's a kind of a lukewarm favorite, but he's the talk of the town right now. Or anything on Friday that you see where the odds maker, and I don't understand this part also. They had the draw and the odds came out immediately when they were drawing the pills. So when you knew your post position, you knew what odds were. But they didn't take into consideration any of the post position or where other horses were when they came out with the odds. Anyway, be that as it may, is there any chalk that you're like, meh, I'm bouncing out of my picks?
Nobody that I'm like tossing completely, but I do think City of Troy is just necessarily going to be an underlay because of what I said about him trying something new for the first time. Maybe he's just that good, but do I really want to take 2-1 in a pretty, deep field to try to find out if he's a dirt horse? I just in general don't think that something like that is great value. Yeah, it's an interesting point on the morning line because they don't do that with the Derby. The Derby, they wait to see the post position draw and then figure out what odds people are going to be. I don't think it matters quite as much here as it does in the Derby because there's not 20 horses, but it's an interesting point that you make. I was all over Idiomatic until she scratched. I thought head-to-head Torpedo Anna would take more money than her, and I thought Idiomatic was a better horse at this point in their career. She's got to run better than she did in the Cotillion, so I'm mildly against her, but like her good race just smashes these fillies, and like she's got the tactical speed to do whatever she wants. So to answer your question, I would love to have a real favorite that I'm just like, oh, I'm so against this horse, but I like Cogburn. I think we talked about it with Kev, the juvenile fillies turf, like Victoria Lake or anybody else. Because she drew the rail, so that can always be a little bit tricky. So I think that she's a little bit vulnerable. I kind of lean. What I try to do, and the Japanese horse is a real interesting lean for me in the juvenile turf sprint. I know it's a field full of speed, but I think a lot of times if you can find a horse to lean on at like 3-1 or 7-2. And then single that horse and spread in some other races, like because everyone's going to be singling Torpedo Anna. Certain horses that everyone's going to be keying on. I think if you can find a horse like that, 3-1, 7-2, 4-1, and lean on that horse in multi-race bets, I think that's the way to go. But no, there's nobody that really jumps out like, oh, I cannot wait to bet against this horse. East Avenue a little bit. I don't know how short he's going to be, probably like 9-5 or so. I think he's vulnerable, but yeah, nobody that I've been just dying to bet against.